Join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Sunday. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, Sunday edition, season 5, episode 39. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Beer Baron and Scotty of SiriusXM Liquid Metal, as Shorts Guy is on assignment somewhere in beautiful Texas. Yeah.
That's right.
Texas.
Getting some good barbecue. Go down to Austin, get some BBQ, baby. Some Salt Lick. There's nothing like it.
Hi.
Woo!
As we're streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. How are you, boys?
Oh, just fine and dandy. Strike one. Strike two. No big wingers for you, New Jersey Devils. But that's okay. That's okay. No. That's okay. That's okay. Hello, everyone on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and everywhere else. We're streaming. Thanks for all the likes, follow, subscribes. Hit that subscribe button on the old YouTube. We love it. All the likes on the Facebook. Thank you, and Twitter. But tell you the truth, I'm actually... Seeing what the Florida Panthers gave up, I'm actually kind of relieved that the Devils didn't get Tkachuk, because I sent this in our little group text as well. I don't know if anyone has taken a look at the old St. Louis Blues roster, but next season they get quite a bit of money coming off of their cap where they can, potentially fit someone like a Matthew Tkachuk in there. And if the old Florida Cats decide to crash and burn this year, will Tkachuk then just go and request a trade the next season when O'Reilly and Tarasenko, that's 7.5 each on those two guys. If O'Reilly and Tarasenko are UFAs and they don't re-sign, oh, baby. Look out. So I know a lot of people are talking, Calgary won the trade, Florida won the trade. I think both of them lost because Hubie, I don't think is going to want to stay up in Calgary anyway. So he's going to have, I don't know. I see him testing the market, and people seem to be trying to escape Calgary, so I could be wrong there. I'm not a GM, But in the long run, I am very happy that the Devils did not give up a Nico Hischier, a Jesper Bratt, or something like that in this trade, which obviously would have been needed to get the deal done. Looks like Calgary is really looking for offensive power. Our big piece would have been offering Damon Severson on the defensive side. I don't think Fitzy was ever going to part with a Nico or even Jesper Bratt. So, yeah, that'll be interesting.
Well, let me give a little credit to our good producer here, Sam Wu. Okay.
Okay.
A couple days before the Tkachuk trade dropped, Sam on Twitter dropped a little thing that said, would you be willing to give up Nico Hischier in a trade to get Matthew Tkachuk? And
absolutely not.
People ate Sam alive, as per usual, because for whatever reason, there's a bunch of numbskull morons with the thickest skulls and smallest brains out in the world that think Sam is like this evil human being who he's so stupid. He's wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's stupid.
Asinine.
That's the
Somebody
stupidest
used
thing
the
I've
word
ever
asinine.
heard.
Asinine.
Asinine,
in one of their tweets.
So
I think two of them did.
Two of them. Somebody said it and somebody agreed. Bunch of morons. And if those people, wait. If those people are listening to the podcast right now, for shame on you, for being a moron and for being so negative. You root for the same team, stupid. But Sam brought up a great point. He goes, "Would you give up Nico Hischier for Matthew Tkachuk?" And a lot of people jumped on him. And if you look at the trade, and I understand,
we would have had to.
Hischier's locked up.
We would have had to. Yeah.
Hischier's locked up for a couple more years. He's locked up for 5 more years. So term doesn't match up. But Huberdeau, statistically, is better than Hischier. As much as I love Nico, and I am a huge Nico Hischier fan, Huberdeau on paper is a hell of a lot better than Nico Hischier. I don't care who you are or what you think or what you say. Because if you say I'm wrong, then no. You're wrong. Look at the statistics and look at the numbers, and you will see on paper that Huberdeau is better than Hischier. So they give up Huberdeau. So that means they would have had to give up Hischier, at least Hischier, because Bratt wouldn't have been in that conversation either. They would have to give up Hischier.
On paper, Huberdeau is better than Tkachuk. Huberdeau had 115 points
on paper,
last year.
yes. On paper, yes, he is.
You can debate who's better there. That's what I'm saying. It was just like a flip-flop of 100-point players like that. So, yeah.
But the thing is like everybody freaked out at Sam. They were like, "No, you're wrong. You're stupid." Because how would they would never have to give up Hischier? Like
I was just looking at value. I was looking at value,
but you're 100% right.
Because
you're
Tkachuk is
right.
an elite player. He's an elite player. Nico is a very, very good player, still growing. And
listen,
when I saw some of those trade proposals that fans were, it's like Calgary's not going to take your garbage. I'm sorry, but it's it doesn't even compare.
There's a few people out there that think that my Twitter account is the burner account of Tom Fitzgerald, which I fed into that, and I'm like, yeah, sure it is. Yeah, I'm Tom Fitzgerald, and you're a moron because you don't know what real trades are going to cost this team. You don't understand that I've been building this team the right way, and all the trades and all the things and the assets. Yeah, he might have overpaid for or Palat, but for the most part, everything that he's done since he's taken over as GM for this team has set this team up in a better position than Lou did when Lou was on his back end of his tenure, than Ray did when he mortgaged the future of the team, when he went after Taylor Hall and then tried to appease Taylor Hall and try to put a team together way before they were ready to be put together. Tom Fitzgerald has been doing a great... Grabner.
Oh, my God. Couldn't score a friggin' goal. Oh, my God.
And he's great in the playoffs, yeah. Listen,
holding on to Heinz. No, I mean, I didn't agree. Obviously, I didn't agree with the idea of sending Hischier. I'm like, no way. It's got to be either Bratt or Holtz that you're sending over there. But that's what the Flames were really looking for. They were looking for.
They're looking to win now. They're not looking to build.
Yeah.
They're looking to build. Yeah. They're looking to win now.
and because they got Mangiapane, they're trying to re-sign as well. And I that's not something I would be willing to part with. And Sam Wu, producer extraordinaire over here, just sent both me and Beer Baron, this list of 2023 pending UFAs, which is incredible, with Huberdeau as well. JT Miller, Pasta, Patty Kane, McKinnon, Pacioretty, Larkin, Horvat, Tarasenko, Johnny Tays, Tyler Bertuzzi, Dumba, Damon Severson. There you go.
There's a lot of old names and a lot of young names.
There's a lot of names. There's Ryan Graves as well. Van Riemsdyk. I can never say his name right. James Van Riemsdyk. I always say it wrong. Although I do know Vukojevic. I got that one right. I got it spelt out here on my paper. But basically everything that Florida traded to Calgary, they're all going to be free agents next year. So what are the odds that they're actually going to stick in Calgary? Probably, I would say they're probably going to go test the market. Why not?
And there's been a lot of reports that Huberdeau immediately was not pleased with what happened, because his camp reached out to Florida, and Florida was like, "Oh yeah, we'll resign you. Don't worry about it." And then next thing you know is he gets a phone call thinking it's going to be like, "All right, let's talk about your contract." And they're like, "You're going to Calgary. See you later." Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I wanted Tkachuk on this team because I wanted this. I thought he was the perfect fit for the team. Was I upset that the Devils didn't get him? Yes, 100%. Was I upset that the Devils didn't get Johnny Gaudreau? Yes, 100%. There's 30 other teams, because there's one team selling, one team buying. So in theory, there's 30 other teams that missed out on both Tkachuk and Gaudreau. Yeah, our GM went out and put put his hat in a ring for at least both of them. Didn't sit on his hands, didn't sit on the fact that we're cap strapped or we're in a situation where we can't do it. Took the idea of hey, we could do it. And don't give me guys don't want to sign in New Jersey, because last year Hamilton wouldn't have signed if guys don't want to sign in New Jersey. Don't give me that crap. What people want to see is they want to go to a contender, or there's other reasons that they want to go to certain areas. Johnny Gaudreau almost signing with the Devils, then last second picking the Columbus Blue Jackets. That, whatever. Yeah, you could be pissed off at Gaudreau for that, but whatever at that point. But in hindsight, when we talked about this, Gaudreau being 5'8" and being paired up with Jack Hughes, they probably would have had a boatload of points, but they also would have had games where they got ragdolled over the ice by Tom Wilson, or a heavier set team that's in the Metropolitan Division. Yeah. So you need be happy for what you have.
Tkachuk was the guy that would have fit perfectly. Listen, Johnny Hockey is a great player, no doubt about it. But we already have our Johnny Hockey. His name is Jack Hughes.
Yep.
I really would not be shocked to see Jack Hughes pushing 100 points this year, or getting close in the 90s. I really think he would. And by the way, Antonio Rodriguez over here, making the good comment on the old YouTube. He just made a little comparison. Ray Shero, Mirko Mueller. Tom Fitzgerald, Jonas Siegenthaler. Little bit of a difference there. And Jim agrees. Jim Leahy agrees. Mirko Mueller was not so good. I think he's playing over in Europe now. But either way, I think it was smart. It sucks. Everybody wanted Tkachuk. It made a lot of sense. They're Fitzy and Tkachuk, they're cousins. You're like, oh, we got the in, we got the family. But honest, dude, I would not be surprised at all if Florida crashes and burns this year, that next year, as soon as Tarasenko and O'Reilly bolt into free agency from the Blues, they're going to have plenty of money, and I can just see Tkachuk being like, okay, I want to trade.
Yeah.
Trade me.
Trade me. And if he does, and that's the part of doing business. And listen, on Facebook Live, hey, thank you for everybody listening on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live,
but maybe
on Twitter
he was
Live,
like,
all that kind of stuff.
Maybe Tkachuk was like, hey, cuz, listen, you know what? It's only going to last for a year. Then as soon as St. Louis is ready, I'm going to jump over there. And, maybe Tommy's like, okay, go do your thing, bud. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Secret's safe with me.
Or maybe it was like, by the way, you want to know what they're giving up for me? He was like, oh, we're not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah, exactly. But go ahead. What was our
Nate-
Facebook comments over there?
Nate on Facebook was saying that one last thing about Fitzy, he tried. He went out and pursued the players and he wanted, but was either outbid or had no leverage. And that's 100% right. He was either completely outbid, and that's the thing is like everybody wants the top free agent. I don't care what team you root for, where you are, what city you're in. You want the top free agent because it's like, yeah, hell yeah, I want the shiniest toy that's out there. Hell yeah, I want the biggest, baddest free agent that's going to be out there. 100%.
Right.
And next year, guess what? The free agency market's going to open up. We're going to have cap room again. And people are going to freak out. And they're going to be like, oh, Patrick Kane. Oh, it's Jack Hughes' idol. And they would be so good together, which they would be amazingly together. But there's going to be fans that are going to be clamoring for the next best thing. Because we're human, and that's what we do. We want the next best thing. We have to realize there's certain things that go into this. Just because we want it, just because we do these little, candle circles on our Twitter timelines and all that other kind of crap, does not mean it's actually going to happen. Just because we could go to church in a Devils jersey, which might be a little weird, but you could go to church in a Devils jersey and you could pray to the Lord up in the heavens or whoever you pray to. I don't care. You can pray to whoever you want. It doesn't matter. There's certain things that go into these trades, and there's certain things that go into free agents. And if they get outbid, be smart. He didn't submarine his team by giving Johnny Gaudreau a 10.5 or $11 million contract. Yeah. And that's the thing.
Sorry.
What happened?
Pete Alonso
something good, I guess.
Pete Alonso just hit a 3-run home run. Sorry. Mets have been stinking it up against the Padres. So, and also Nate and Matt Junio over here. Ray, he did. This is very true. This is a good call over here. Ray went out and just signed names to sign names. Fitzy is really building something here, and I do agree with that. And listen, we didn't get Tkachuk, but we still got Holtz.
Yep.
We
hope he turns.
We still got Foot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna find out. That's for sure. But we still have those players. So it's not like we're just left empty-handed here. We still have those players. Getting a Palat, getting a Dougie Hamilton. It's slowly but surely. I'm telling you, after this season, you get a full season of Nico and Jack up there on those top two lines. And some of these free agents are going to be singing a different tune next year about coming to New Jersey. And yeah, Ray Leo, the taxes suck. And I can see that, part of it as well.
We're not even the worst tax state. We're not even the worst tax state. If you went to play for California, any of the California teams would be worse off.
Oh, trust me, I know I live here.
Teams would be worse off.
Yeah, taxes are crazy.
Exactly.
It's $7. It's $7 for a gallon of gas out here. It's insane.
Yeah. So, whoa. Is it really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
And I was sitting here thinking like $4.35 was bad.
Oh, $4. I wish we get back down to $4. No, I saw $5.99 the other day, and I was like, $5.99? Please.
That's insane.
Gotta go there.
Insane.
That's like US 1 gas, like those like cheesy,
the ones that they carbonate their gas, so you have a full tank. Yeah.
What was the one that was by my parents' house in Middlesex? Oh, Petroleum 19 or something like that. It was just like the cheapest gas you could possibly
You like
get.
gasoline? We have gasoline. We have gasoline. We have gasolina. Whatever you need.
Yeah, it's expensive. Just everything in California in general is more expensive. Like the taxes, you don't get a lot of those insurance rates and stuff like that. I know when I moved out here, my car insurance just went boom, and I'm like,
and
I don't get safe driver discount. I don't get this. I don't get that. Nope.
Anybody that believes half my family lives in Washington State, which is a state that doesn't have state tax, and my brother was there. You go. So my brother was just telling me, we're talking about something and we're driving around because they just came out to the East Coast because we all go to the shore and blah, 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 once a year. And I was like, oh man, gasoline. I was saying the same thing. Gasoline $4.35 is the lowest I've seen it in like a couple months. And he laughs and he's like, that's pretty much normal for me. I was like, don't you live in a state that doesn't have state tax? And he goes, yeah, but that's the thing is like, they don't have state tax, but they ream you everywhere else. So where they're missing out on that big chunk, they find ways to just completely screw you in other different ways. So that whole theory of
California does it. California does it both. They have large taxes.
They just get you double time. To get you double time, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, you like that Golden Bridge in San Francisco? We're gonna give you a couple. Tax you a little bit more.
You want 80 degrees for 365 days a year? Well, guess what? It's going to cost you, buddy. So, that's the
want
price
that
you pay
earthquake
for,
insurance.
Woof, baby. Look out. But yeah, and Kyle, I do agree. Kyle on the old YouTube live right here. Feels like a trade is still going to happen. Lots of teams are over the cap right now. There are a lot of teams with cap trouble. Hell, I think the Panthers are right now too. Even with getting
$3 million
they're
over.
like $3
million over.
They're $3 million over. Yeah, You're gonna find a lot of teams like that. Toronto is another one that's right on the border. They've been fishing some of their big names out there. I know. I've seen some articles about what if Austin Matthews pulls the same thing that Tkachuk, just pull. He's just like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know why he would want to go back to Arizona because other than
he's not going to go to Arizona.
I know.
But if he wanted to go to a different team.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But just thinking in the sense of Tkachuk, I want to go to St. Louis. That's where I grew up. That's where my dad played and stuff like that. I really do. Looking at St. Louis's cap space. Next year, they get a lot of money freed up with UFAs coming off the books. I really would not be shocked if he demands a trade, especially if Florida just which could happen.
Is what people don't realize is like that deal he got in Florida. They're like, he's only paying $1 million a year, or they're only paying him $1 million a year or something like that in salary, and then the rest of it's signing bonus. And it's like, yes, okay.
How is that legal? This seems like a Kovalchuk deal here. Like, how is this legal?
No, it's not. It's not circumventing the cap. There's different rules and structure to it, but he still counts 9.75 against the cap for the Panthers. But the problem is that's not a Panther-friendly deal, even though it seems like, they're only paying him $1 million. So the deal is Tkachuk is basically owed 90% of his deal in a signing bonus. If, for whatever reason, something catastrophic happens and he gets hurt, or he's just like, I don't like hockey anymore and I don't want to play, and they get roped into having to buy out his contract, it's not going to be like hey, this is a friendly, $2 million a deal for the next 5-10 years, or like a Bobby Bonilla thing. If he gets into a situation where they have to buy him out, they have to buy out 90% of his contract. They have to pay him almost the entire signing bonus, upwards to, I forget what it is, $700 million or whatever it is. I don't know. I forget the actual numbers are, but it's right around there because it's like 8 years for.
It's like $600 billion is something they got to pay out.
It's like a gajillion. It's like $1 gajillion, and in Florida, that's a lot of alligator meat. You know what I mean? So they're gonna have to pay
Florida. So what is in Florida? There's no income tax there, right? Or is there no state tax? Or is there's no income tax in Texas? So if they're I guess if they're paying him with bonuses, I'd have to look that up. How much Uncle Sam would be able to come in and take out of those bonuses, because it would be a pretty penny.
If I could be completely wrong about this, but I remember somebody explaining to maybe on the podcast at one point that you're taxed in every state that you work in. So by technically playing an away game in the state of New Jersey or in New York or wherever, you get taxed on that state takes a portion of that tax or something like that. So he's still going to get taxed. It's he'll save X amount of money over a span of time. Like, I think it was like you said in the group text, like $4.6 million he's going to be getting back or saving. Yeah, it's a huge chunk of money. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's pretty incredible. I plan on winning the lottery on Tuesday and making more than Keith Tkachuk will in his entire career. And then I'll buy a portion of the Devils. But yeah, they're going to take a piece of it no matter what state you live in. They're going to take a piece of it somewhere, somehow. It's not going to be the same in every state. The state income tax sucks. Ilya Kovalchuk was getting like, I forget what it was. Like he was getting almost a quarter of that 17 euro deal taken away from him for being in New Jersey. And he was like, I can't do this. I'm going to go to Russia where the ruble's great. I mean, where are you now, pal? But that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Honestly, they gave up way too much. They gave up Huberdeau. They gave up Uyghur. They gave up and by the way, Florida doesn't have a first-round pick until 2026.
Yeah, they're all
some
gone.
People will be like, "Oh, that's not a big deal. That's a huge deal." And I'll tell you another thing.
Yeah,
you have a team like
they gave
the
up
Devils.
for what? Giroux? What was it like? They gave it up for Giroux and who else?
Drew.
And someone else. I can't remember. Yeah, but it was only like what did Giroux play? Like 25 games or 30 games with the team? Not even, right?
And I think they gave up two premium picks for him.
I think that's what. Yeah, they don't have a first-round pick for the next 3 years. Like that is crazy, especially next year with how deep the draft is too. It's just, whew. But in that sense as well, being that they're over, $3 million of the cap and they don't have any draft picks, that might be a way for a team to go in there and snatch something off of them as well for, maybe a little bit cheaper. And if they're giving away Huberdeau like that and everyone else, it's just like, because the Panthers gave away more points than they acquired with Tkachuk.
Well, and that's the thing is, but they're also both UFAs. So Donnell Weaver in our YouTube live group just asked, like, who do you think won that trade? And
nobody.
It's hard to tell because so on one side of it, you could say like, oh yeah, Florida won because they get I keep calling him Keith, Matthew Tkachuk, and he's 100+ winger. He's an elite winger. And he's going to be great. He's in his early 20s, going to be great for a while. And you get him under contract for the next 8 years. And you look at the Flames and you're like, well, they got Huberdeau and they got Uyghur and they got a first-round pick for Tkachuk. That's what a haul. There's nobody else could have matched that, and that's true. Nobody else could have or should have or the Devils, I'm glad they didn't.
I'm glad they didn't.
The problem with what they ended up getting is you get Huberdeau, who's a UFA. You get Uyghur's who's a UFA. You get Huberdeau, who's apparent. You get Huberdeau, who's apparently pissed off at the trade, who might request a trade immediately out of Calgary before the season even starts. So that might not even work in your favor unless you're able to flip him and get.
He's gonna play. He's gonna try and light it up, and then he's out. He's gonna get his money. He's gonna cash in on that UFA market. Yeah, he's not gonna stay.
So then you get nothing. You get zip. Like you just stole the fizzy lifting drink from, what's his face, the old Candyman over there, from Willy Wonka. You get nothing. You get good day, sir.
Nothing.
You get nothing.
Yeah, you get nothing.
That's what's gonna happen to Florida because Uyghur's gonna walk, and so is Huberdeau, and then they get a 2025 first round pick. Florida's still gonna be decent. You're gonna get a mid-20s to the late 20s pick.
And dude, mark my words, St. Louis is going to have a lot of cap space next year. I just see it happening. Tkachuk just being like, "Let's go, send me to St. Louis."
Well, this is the first year where you started seeing guys in the NHL kind of choose their destination, right?
Yeah,
it's been going on in the NBA for the last couple of years, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, that will never happen in the NHL," but here we go.
Well, it's going to happen.
And the thing is, the NHL's salary cap is going to start going up. The revenue that they're going to start pulling in, I think there's a buyback from player salaries to the owners. So the players had to pay back a certain X amount over X amount of years. That was like $1 to $4 billion. It was something crazy, whatever it was. They had to pay back an X amount of money to the owners or some yada, yada, yada.
Right.
And apparently in 2 years, I think it is, the flat cap is going to go exponentially up.
I hope so.
So you're going to start to see crazier. Yeah, but you're going to start to see crazier deals coming through. Like you're going to start to see guys making like $15 million a year. Which they should. I mean, obviously they should.
It's bound to happen, but I mean, it's starting to happen now. And the cap, it's just, You can't do it. You can't do it. Like, to sign a player like that is really, it puts your team in a huge disadvantage in the end, because you can't make any other moves around there because you're going to be maxed out. And you see some of these. PK was a great example. $9 million, like the Devils took them because they needed to get to the floor, and that's what's going to happen. A lot of these players is they're going to get shipped to like these bottom feeder teams that just needed to get to the cap floor, like we did for a little while. It's like that $9 million salary. Okay, now we're actually using it for our benefit. Dougie, Nico, Jack, Palat. Now we got all these guys that $9 million comes in handy. So, and hopefully it does also with Jesper Bratt, which, by the way, his, is that another home run for the Mets? Yeah. Oh, no, foul ball. Sorry. Jesper Bratt and both, Miles Wood. No, I went to the foul pole, in the old, Pepsi porch or Coca-Cola corner, whatever the hell it's called now. Damn it, I lost my train of thought.
And I did too. I'm not gonna lie, I was reading something else.
With these big salaries, they're gonna.
Oh, Jesper Bratt. You started bringing Jesper Bratt up.
And Jesper Bratt. Jesper Bratt, Miles Wood. I think their arbitration deadlines are coming up pretty soon.
Yep.
So we should get results on them, hoping that we lock Bratt up for a long-term deal. Obviously. Don't want to see him get out there. Want to have him as one of the core pieces of this team. Miles Wood, we'll see how it goes. We got to check him out coming back from the hip surgery. We saw him late last year, but then he had to shut it down again, afterwards, which I think is smart. I understand he wanted to get out there on the ice, but no need to push it in a season that was already lost. Keep resting up, and we'll see where that goes. And some of these young players, let's see what Holtz has got. He may need another team, may need another year down there at the AHL. But the Chase Stillmans, the Nolan Foots, those are two guys that they're not going to be a 100-point player like a Tkachuk is right now, but they're a big body that can go out there and provide a little protection and provide some scoring as well, especially for Jackie Boy and Jesper. Mm-hmm. And we all know Jesper's our little bulldog in the corner, but we would rather see him using his hands to score goals and to set them up rather than the old fisticuffs. Leave that to someone else, please, Jesper. Love your courage. Love it, buddy. But don't break your hand on someone else's helmet.
Yeah, seriously. And then I will also say, for those that are like, well, when is Jesper Bratt going to get signed? Like, when is that going to happen? Like, when are we going to get to the point where we can just at least solidify that? My guess is going to be after the Devils are done doing what they need to do. It's not going to be anytime soon. If he's going to get locked up, it's going to be close to the end of the year, or not the end of the year, right before either his arbitration hearing is, which was actually in a week.
It's the third. I can't remember if he was the third or if
my brain just melted for a second. So
it's either the third or the fifth.
My original thought was he wasn't going to get anything until right before training camp opened up. And then I was like, oh, wait, yeah. He's in arbitration, so they'll probably get done before then. And hopefully it does.
August 3rd for Jesper and August 6th for Miles. So those are the arbitration. And by the way, so for 20 games, for Tkachuk and 20 games of Giroux, the Panthers traded, what is it? It's the first round, 2023, first round, 2024, first round, 2025, third round, 2024. Plus 2 prospects.
Yep.
And Huberdeau, Uyghur, and Tippett. Whew, baby. And 2 of the guys aren't even on the team anymore that they traded. Oh, man, that is a lot. And here's the other one. Yep. Tarasenko, O'Reilly, $7.5 million each. UFAs come 2023. That's a lot of room that the old Blues will have there.
Well, so And being on the other side of it now, because if we landed Tkachuk and you started saying this, I would have been like, shut up, no, shut up. But like being on the other side of it, I'm like, yes, let the world burn. Let the world burn. Right. But Jesper Bratt, what I was trying to say before is like, he's always brought his contract right to the very the end point, right? So anytime he's negotiated, I think the last 2 times, or the only 2 times he's really had to negotiate his new contract, from what I understand, could be wrong. I will always preface this, could be wrong. He brought it up to the 0 hour, and then they were like, okay, it's done, and they get something done. So don't be shocked unless you see Jesper Bratt going, right up to the 0 hour and get it done. But I will say this. JT Miller, and I'm not saying I want the Devils to go after JT Miller, but JT Miller fits, once again, the kind of mold that the team could use or could benefit from. Jesper not signing his qualifying offer, I don't know if it will go into arbitration or will not. Typically they don't, but who knows? I'm curious to see if this is being dragged out because there's another deal that might be in the works. I honestly have a weird feeling that I don't think that Fitzgerald's done. The only thing that I don't think so either is it's not an overreaction to not getting Tkachuk. It's not an overreaction to not getting certain deals done, and he doesn't try to overspend for somebody like JT Miller. You know what I mean? Like, don't go out there unless you're going to get Pastrnak from Boston and get it like an insane deal off of that. But don't go out there and try to, send Holtz and Bratt and a first-round pick to the Canucks for JT Miller. Please, for the love of God, do not overspend for JT Miller. Because you know what? Tkachuk, I would have been listen, if they would have traded Bratt a first and Holtz for it, I would have been kind of bummed out, but at the same time, I would have been all for it because that's a gritty, sizable winger that you could put on Jack's wing that not only will put up points, but will also help protect him and not get him ragdolled all over the ice. So I would have been all about that. But at the same time, please, for the love of God, please don't overspend for somebody else. Like, don't go out and ship Bratt at first for Timo Meier. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. For the love of God, don't do that.
Yeah. I agree. Don't do any sort of reaction, type of spending and stuff like that. And because, we were speaking about it before. Look at where it got Ray. He made all those moves and nothing.
Yep. See you later.
All fizzle. See you later.
Yep.
And it was bad. I think Fitzy has done a good thing with bringing in Andrew Burnett as an assistant coach. I really like that move. He did a really good job with the Panthers until they met the old Tampa Bay Lightning in the playoffs last year. But he did an amazing job with them. Maybe the heir apparent, once Lindy, maybe takes a job up in the front office or something like that. He's getting up there in age. We all have had our issues with some of the coaching decisions that were made with Lindy. So we'll see what happens with what having Burnett on the team as well in the coaching perspective as an associate coach, not an assistant coach, an associate coach. Got to get that one correct. But I like the way this team is. Yeah, of course, who wouldn't want a Tkachuk on their team? But when you start looking at it and you start looking at the price that Florida paid to get him, and Calgary as well, there's no guarantee on their side. I mean, I don't know. I can't fathom the idea of not having a first round pick for the next 3 years. Like that, and who knows sucks.
How? And their defense is crap. Their defense is not good. I mean, listen, Weegar was like your best defenseman. You just shipped him out. So good luck.
Bye-bye.
Good luck keeping Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight healthy and protecting them. Don't get me wrong. Like, listen, I don't wish ill will
They're
on
gonna
any
need-
team,
they're-
but
No,
they're
no,
going to
no.
need a
Yeah,
lot of
no.
help, and they're going to be in a
They're-
big time trouble. They could go right into crapper real quick, because
And-
Bobrovsky also is old.
He is, and he has to have. He's got to play like Shesterkin played last year for this team,
And then some.
you know, and then some. Like it's really gonna rely on the goaltending, and it's tough down there in Florida. We're gonna see. I don't know why anyone would gonna play in a rat-infested arena, but whatever, you know, that's to each their own, you know. So enjoy the rodents while you're down there, Matt. Get a suntan. I'm sure it'll be a good time. Tampa Bay will come to town and trounce the Panthers, as always. You know, that's just how it's gonna roll down there. But you know,
smack him around.
yeah. But I would not be surprised to see him trying to get out of Florida in record time. And I don't see, like we were just talking about, Huberdeau and Weegar. I don't see them sticking around in Calgary. So,
God.
who knows?
And anytime you're a Devils fan and you're like, oh, my team, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. You could be, and we've been in this position, you could be Calgary right now. You could be a fan of the Flames. Watch two of your best players just, boop, peace out, see you later.
Peace.
Don't want to be
later.
there. I mean,
Not
did it
gonna
happen
do
to
it.
us? Oh, yeah. We went through that when we saw Zach
yeah.
Parise peace out, and then Ilya
Oh, yeah.
Kovalchuk be like, I just want to retire from the NHL, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, we've
screw
been
Ko-
there.
That
Calgary,
was
we
the
know
whole
how
reason-
you feel.
That was the whole reason that Zach really. I mean, I think that was the nail in the coffin, you know, for Zach leaving. I know that his at the time fiance really wanted to return to Minnesota. I was lucky enough to meet both of them at my work, you know, and get to talking with them, and I could tell that she really wasn't a city girl. She preferred to be in Minnesota. You know, I could definitely tell that.
Yeah.
But the idea, I mean, Zach, I mean, he was just like, he's like, it's Jersey or home. It's Jersey or home, you know? And I really feel that if we had the money to sign his buddy to play defense, that would have been a different story.
We had the money. We
didn't have any money.
convinced-
We gave it to
No,
Kovalchuk.
no.
That was the problem.
No, there was a situation, from what I understand, there was a situation that they could have gotten Sutter, and he did not want to come to New Jersey. And he was hell-bent on going to Minnesota, too. And Parise was like, all right, then that's my decision. Like, I want to go where my fiance is. And there's money, too. Of course.
I think that money, yeah. Kovalchuk ate up. I mean, think me and Sam were talking about it. That was back in the Vanderbeek days where, like,
the old Vanderbeek days.
I don't know if they were paying the bills on time or anything like that in the old Vanderbeek days there, you know. Get me a start now, Lou. We need to put someone out there on the matinee and, you know, drive people to the game. So we got Kovalchuk. And they spent I almost said a
shoosh load. Yeah.
A shoosh load of money on him. And I don't think there was any way that they could have signed Zach and his buddy there with Kovalchuk as well after that. For me personally, I just think that was it. That was done. It was all right.
Can I say something completely unrelated? I'm not a Mets fan whatsoever. And I love that you guys traded to get like a potato with legs. Daniel Vogelback. Because this dude looks like he's a beer league softball player who found his way into the big leagues. I love it.
He's got an amazing running highlight. He just scored a couple.
I'm just watching it. I'm watching that highlight. That's what
you see the slide? That slide is just like
that's a beer league slide.
He was nowhere near home plate on that slide. Like I think he kind of rolled and tumbled, you know, a little bit as well. You know,
a little bit.
The Mets needed some beef. They needed some beef.
They got some beef.
They got beef, all right.
They got
now they just got to sign Cologne. Can you imagine Cologne?
Yeah, to bring back Bartolo. Get Bartolo. Just hire him for have him be a bullpen coach or something like that. Just so
maybe
Vogelbach
should try out for the third string position for the Devils in goal.
Oh man, hey, he'd block everything. And we got to give Kenneth. Don't call me Keith Richards. Oh hello, My name is Kenneth Richards, not Keith Richards. I like the hockey. I like the hockey over there with the smoking the cigarettes and everything. He says he would take Timo in a heartbeat. And I know Timo has a lot of ties with Mr. Nico Hischier. It would depend
I would too.
on the price. And Kenneth, talking about U.S.-born players don't want to deal with Canada taxes and restrictions. Now, an interesting stat that I think I saw, I don't think there has ever been a U.S.-born player to play 1,000 games on a Canadian team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that's just one team or if that's like total, like, maybe they were on the Maple Leafs, maybe then they were on the Canucks or something like that. But I don't think there's ever been a U.S. player to play 1,000 games for a Canadian team. And also something that I was unaware of, TSN was reporting this. There is like some sort of loophole in Canadian taxes for hockey players where they can get like their status level lowered so they don't have to pay as much. I don't know. If you go to TSN, I can't remember who, but they were talking about it obviously with the Tkachuk stuff, this past week. But there is an article out there that there is some sort of loophole with something. Yeah, me and math are not really the best of friends, so I would have difficulty explaining it. But someone if you go to TSN, it's up there where there's a big long explanation about like these little secret kind of loopholes for the hockey players to be able to save on taxes. Yeah, and to not be in such a high bracket. They can lower it and they can save some money. It's really weird. And obviously there's a lot of stuff going on up there in Canada with the old hockey,
And that's the thing about the Devils right now where they sit. Like, I wouldn't care if they traded for JT Miller or if they trade for Timo Meier or if they trade for Pastrnak or they
just don't overpay.
Don't overpay. Don't do something stupid that's going to mortgage the future. Like, and that's Pasta. What happened. Like, Pasta would be great. Maybe. Pasta would be great, but here's the thing: is like if you trade for
Not
him
Miller, though.
him or Miller, if you trade for either of those, you have to make sure that they're locked up for a while. Miller, I wouldn't want him locked up for 7 to 8. I wouldn't want him locked up that long. Maybe another like Palat kind of deal, but he's not going to go for a Palat.
Is he 29 or is he 31? I can't remember. I knew he was like
he's either 29 or 30.
I can't remember. I think he's 29. I think he is 29.
But with him, with any of these guys, like the only thing that you cannot do is you cannot overpay for something as a knee-jerk reaction to the fan base that's been crying because they didn't get either Matthew Tkachuk or they didn't get Johnny Gaudreau. And I think it was kind of refreshing because if you watched it unfold on Twitter, when Tkachuk went, of course, everybody's initial reaction was like, son of a bitch. Like, no, why? Why couldn't we get him? Why? And you get mad and you're like punching a pillow or you're throwing something across the room. And then you're like, whoa, come on. The Panthers, what'd they have to give up for him? And then you read the deal and you're like, oh, gross. All right, never mind. That's like, you go to the bar and you see the girl and you're like, oh, that's the girl I want to go out with. Oh my God. I just want to talk to her. And then like somebody else goes over there and you find out that, she has horrible smelly breath and like, she likes to stab people on the first date. And you're like, we dodged a bullet. We dodged a bullet then. So I honestly feel like if they would have paid the price that Florida paid, and you also have to take into account, I think they could have gotten away with Bratt instead of Nico Hischier just because of term. I think they could have gotten away with maybe giving them not as much because there's so much risk for the Flames to take that deal on. So I feel like the Devils could have gotten away with a deal that was a little bit less risk, but at the same time, there's no guarantee that the other side of it was going to be like, yeah, sure, no problem. Because there's other teams that were involved in this too. So there's other teams like from what I understand, Vegas, St. Louis, there's other teams that were involved. And what we'll never know. We'll never know what the exact offer was unless somebody comes out and goes, yep, this is what we asked. And they said no. and that's all we could do because we weren't going to go
And
over
by the way, just real quick, it was if you find Alan Walsh on Twitter, they got the tax impact for players. So players in Canada can set up a retirement compensation agreement, an RCA, and limit their tax liability to a flat 20%. An NHL player can actually pay the same or less tax in Canada than he will in Florida or Vegas. So if
There's
you want
loopholes
to find
everywhere. Loopholes
yeah,
everywhere.
I mean,
Go ahead, Sam.
it's up on Alan Walsh on Twitter, and then yeah, oh yeah, Berkey goes through it as well on TSN. That's what I saw on the point. Yep. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Sam.
Getting back to your somewhat trivia question before about American-born players playing 1,000 games in Canada, I think the one that is coming close is Blake Wheeler.
Okay.
He's not quite there yet, but he's pretty getting up there if he stays in Winnipeg. But I think he's probably short by a couple hundred games. But he's played a lot of games already in his career. I just wanted to point that out. Just looking through the list. Good. Had me interested.
Boom. By the way, I posted the link in the YouTube page. Let me put it in the old Facebook page as well for that.
And also take a
look at the crazy taxes.
Also, there are people that are out there still saying like, we wish we'd have got. I'm not trying to rag on anybody, but Andy on the YouTube live was saying, glad we didn't get Tkachuk, but Johnny would have been nice. I hope Nemec works out because Luke will be here after his second year. Wright would have been a good choice in the draft. Jack might get hurt again. I think getting Holla. See, this is the other thing too. You look at our forwards are a little bit small, but our defense is huge. Our defensemen are huge. So we're lacking in size up front. Holla can step in and make sure that there's guys on the team. We were missing Miles Wood the entire year last year. That's a big presence on the ice. That's a David Clarkson kind of presence on the ice.
Let's see if Stillman and Foote come back too.
Exactly. So there's pieces that could work out in that sense. Gaudreau, and I was a huge advocate for getting Johnny Gaudreau. Always loved him as a player. Always wanted to see him on the Devils. Bringing him back to New Jersey, even though he was a Flyer fan growing up, and as we know now, didn't want to play for the New Jersey Devils because whatever reason. As the more you sit back and you think about him, and bring a 5'8" winger to a line that's already really, really small, you have teams in our division. You have Washington, who are big, heavy bodies that will destroy you if you're only a small lineup team. I don't care how fast and shifty you are. You have the New York Rangers, who got heavy in the last 2 years.
They got bigger because they got ragdolled.
You looked at what happened to Panarin.
Tom Wilson, we always say we hate Tom Wilson, but he single-handedly destroyed the Rangers franchise in about 10 seconds on the ice. And for that, I sort of love him,
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I would love to have him on our team any day, but it's just never going to happen.
And Shane Wright is, he's a guy that I really feel like he needs to be his own. Like, you're going to stick him on the third line center? I don't know. Shane Wright is a guy who needs to be a number one or a number two center. He projects, I feel like, a lot like Nico Hischier. And I just don't know if there's I think Nemec was the right way to go. And I really think we got to steal with this kid. And don't be shocked to see him jump a lot of people in line. We have a lot of defensive prospects, but don't be shocked to see him just boop, 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 move right up the list and get his shot before some of these other guys.
You guys that hate that deal of drafting Nemec. How would you say his name? What's the proper
Is
way
it
of saying
Nemec or is it Nemec? I think it's Nemec. I think it's Simone Nemec.
Nemec?
Or Nemec.
Simone
It's
Nemec?
changed like
Nemec?
4 or 5 times already. So,
Yeah,
you know.
every time
But
I
got
get a handle on it.
Vukojevic. I got Vukojevic. I got that down now. I was calling him Vukojevic, I think, for like a year or so.
For like a good
But it's
2 years, yeah.
Nemec.
Nemec.
What's that,
Samu
Sam?
had me actually.
Nemec?
Samu had me write it out in like, phonetics.
Very phonetic.
So I don't screw it up. Yeah.
Think of the Mets. Nemec.
Nemec.
So,
it's Nemec with it like a Z. Think like a Z at the end.
So, if you're looking at all the projections, and I'm being biased and unbiased at the same time, a lot of people are projecting him to be one of the best defensemen to come out in a long time. We might because we won't know for a good 2 to 3 years. He might be like the next Cal McCarr. Could be. I would not be. I would not be surprised if it's sooner, dude. I really wouldn't. I don't think this kid's going to take a lot of time at the HL. Or he could be the next Adam Larson, where he's like a high draft pick who's got a lot of potential, who's a serviceable, decent NHL defenseman, but doesn't reach that elite level that everybody hopes he does. But he could. He's got the pedigree to do it, and he's got the intangibles to do it. You just have to be wait and see with it. So
I will say, as of right now, the Devils' right side of defense is
so good.
Stacked. Dougie,
so good.
If you trade Damon or not, I don't know what's going to go on there. But at least for this year, you got Dougie, Damon, and then Marino is now your third pairing. Right side defense.
Yeah.
I mean, where are you going to put Damon Severson then? I mean, like he's going to play.
Those two could be interchangeable.
I mean, your right side defense is stacked.
Well, and that's the other thing too is
right after them.
You could put one of those guys, give them heavier power play minutes, right? So the thing, people get so hung up on line 1, 2, 3, 4 and defensive pairing 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 3 rather. It should be situationally. So if you have, let's say you have a night where you're going on a power play a decent amount of times, which means Dougie Hamilton is going to go out there on your first power play unit, which means he's going to be starting to log heavier minutes. What you're doing now is you're giving the defensive core a great, almost security blanket, because you're going to be like, all right, instead of having to worry about this guy's minutes or the amount of time he's going to be playing, we have a second and third pairing that's going to be able to step in and pick up those minutes just like nothing happened, in theory, right? So on paper, on the right side, you're not skipping a beat between those three. You have an upgrade with Hamilton. You have Severson and Marino are very comparable in what they do, and I feel like almost interchangeable.
And then you have Nemec and Walsh coming right behind you, right there too. It's like they got a good thing. And by the way, because I see our boy Kyle on YouTube is throwing out some line combinations. I think you forgot about a Mr. Palat on your lines, so redo and get back to us on that, because you're missing some key factors. Don't forget about that. That's going to be a huge deal to balance out this team.
I think the line of Nico, Mercer, and Palat would be one hell of a line. Now,
baby.
Dude, that's such a heavy forechecking, in the corner, grind it out, dirty goal kind of line. And then you could have Sharangovich. You could either have Sharangovich with Hughes. You could have Hughes, Sharangovich, Bratt as your first line. And then you could have them flying around. And then you could have that grinded out, putting up solid numbers like, freaking Palat, Hischer, and Mercer line. And then what's even crazier is then you could have Holtz on your third line with Janssen, Holtz, and Halle in the middle. And Halle is going to he's going to clear the way for somebody like Holtz. And you get somebody to, make sure that.
Don't forget about Tatar as well. There's a lot. There's a lot. I mean,
lot
and
of
also,
options.
if you have, I mean, obviously, well, there might be, I don't know what's going to go on with that fourth line. There's obviously
Oh God.
something going on there that we're not sure about. But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me either to see Miles Wood get a chance if he comes back and he's able to use those legs.
That's right.
The way
Forget about Miles Wood.
Don't forget about Miles Wood and his speed, because Miles Wood is a fast skater. You need someone who could actually keep up with Jack Hughes. You want a little protection for him? Well, you got to be able to keep up with him as well. Miles Wood is someone who could actually keep up with a Jack Hughes up there on that top line.
True. True.
There's a lot of different combinations that we could be making over there, and yeah, we'll have to see obviously what happens with that fourth line. Not gonna make any judgments on anything just yet, obviously. But there's news. It's a very not good situation. We haven't heard any feedback from a Mr. McLeod or his agent or the team or anything like that. But I'd say let's just reserve judgment for right now until we get the facts for what's going on. Not only will there be an investigation up there in Canada, but the NHL is going to have their own investigation as well. So one way or another, you would hope this time they get it right. And, even with the double investigation going on, you just hope that they get it right and this gets settled, and it's not good. It's not good. It's not pretty. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google CHL and you should probably find a lot of news stories. But it's a tricky situation, and I know others have commented on it yet, but I'm gonna hold off until we see everything that really happened.
Yeah. We kind of agree on the same situation. Like, you don't want to start making comments until you know all the facts, and we don't know all the facts yet. But I will say this: if the player that we're talking about is involved in any sort of way, the Devils need to separate themselves from that player as soon as possible. And all joking aside, like I always used to say, like, oh, I'm a big Mikey McLeod fan. We always used to make a big joke about it. I have zero respect for anybody that is involved in that kind of situation, if that is true. And I hope they drop him faster than they even know. I don't care if he's a first round pick and any of that stuff. Don't try to trade him. Just cut him. Outright cut him. And if the NHL tries to fight you on like how much that guy's getting, I don't know if they have to pay him after they cut him, but a situation like being presented, if that's what's going on and he was involved in that, you should be able to cut him, and that's it, and be done with it and wash your hands. And if anybody in the organization knew about what happened and they knew about any of the information that is not being said or whatever, goodbye to them too. We don't need any of that.
100% my fear.
And that, well, not even a fear, but if McLeod was involved in this situation and somebody in the organization knew about it, like outright knew about it, either pre-draft, post-draft, or now, and this kid is still on the roster, and this is that really dark, horrible territory that you're going to start to get into. And as a fan of a team, I don't think we don't want our organization going anywhere near that. So hopefully, whatever's going on, they're doing due diligence. If he's innocent and if he wasn't involved, great. Let's move forward. But put out a statement and clear yourself. If he was involved, they need to do what they need to do, and they need to separate themselves from that player.
And think of that also in, Tom Fitzgerald perspective, he's got to be pretty busy right now, because not only is he doing a lot of fun stuff with trying to trade and, sign some players like Jesper Bratt and Miles Wood and everything like that. He's also dealing with, like you said, something a little bit more on the darker side here. And that's, if it is something, then I hope there is swift action, but don't want to, because I've seen things, just turn out a different, from assumptions and stuff like that. I don't want to do that, So just hoping for the best, but for whatever it is, Fitzy, please make the right choice. If it's a tough one that you have to make, please make the right one. That's all I have to say.
And by the way, if he is guilty, there is no sympathy or like, oh, you feel bad for him. He should get whatever he deserves. 1,000%.
Yeah.
If anybody is guilty of that, they should get whatever they deserve. Don't sit there and be like, oh, I feel bad that he got cut from the team. No, screw that person. Screw that player. If you're going to do something that he supposedly did, and like I said, we don't need to sit here and outright say all the allegations that are out there. But I will say I'm absolutely disgusted. Absolutely disgusted. As a father of 2 daughters, like I'm absolutely disgusted of every part of this. And it got me to have this conversation because there's a hell of a lot more that I would like to say about it. But out of professionalism, I'm going to keep it civil to where it is right now. But I will say this: if this team knows anything about it, there's going to be hell to pay. There's going to be hell to pay. If somebody in the organization knew about it and they knew that this kid was guilty of it and they were trying to cover it up or protect him, he doesn't need to be protected. Yeah. People that do something like what he's being accused of, if that's what happened, you don't protect somebody like that. That's it.
Nope. Yeah. And I'm not going to, that's it. Go read out.
That's it.
If you're unaware, I see Andy on the YouTube page and everything like that. If you're unaware of what's going on, it's a major, major story. And unfortunately, one of our Devils is involved. Hopefully only one.
Hopefully. What a horrible statement to have to say. Hopefully only one.
That doesn't, it shouldn't even, you shouldn't even have, you know what? Can I strike that from the record? You know what? I can't, it shouldn't have happened at all. I don't know. It's just, it's tough to talk about these things.
It's a tough situation. I mean, for us, to talk about it, I think the bottom line is we want the truth out there.
Yes.
And what happened in Chicago, swift justice. Boom.
Yeah.
No,
but
not
not
even
the way Chicago. Chicago didn't really handle it. I meant once the truth got out, Chicago started to take action, but even then, they allowed Stan Bowman to resign. No, just fire him at that point.
But and the thing is, nobody should be left with dignity if they're on the wrong side of any of these circumstances. And I understand, I never ever in a million years will be an apologist for any of these people. I will never sit back and be like, oh, I feel bad for XYZ. No. Like I said, I'm trying real hard to bite my tongue not to drop some pretty hard words on what we're doing.
At the same time, some of the comments I've seen on Twitter, the rush to judgment is awful.
But that's the thing is you can't rush to judgment, and you cannot also be an apologist and be like, oh no, he's innocent. It's like, listen, we feel a certain way about it. It's not good. Either way,
it's not good.
Because if he's involved or not involved, guess what? It still happened. It still happened to a young woman out there, and things like this. Because you're a star athlete. Some of these people in the world, because they have clout, because they have money, because they have status, they have something in the world that they feel like they can get away with things. But guess what? You can't. You shouldn't be able to. I don't give a shit if you're a budding star and you're the best athlete on the field that anybody's ever seen. You should not be able to do something like. I'm just gonna stop.
And on top of that, think of it. You're a parent, a beer baron. Think if you had a parent, if you're a parent and you're sending your kid to Hockey Canada, to play in the leagues, you got to pay a dues every single year. That is the money that they were using to cover up all of these situations, because this is not the first time it's happened. Your dues, you're literally paying for Hockey Canada if you live up there and you send your kids to these camps and everything like that to cover up all this stuff. It's disgusting and gross, all the way around. And there really needs to be like a reckoning up there and get that. And not only this situation and for the players involved, but Hockey Canada in general is just
I wish you wish you could say it's just Hockey Canada and it's just what's going on in there, but it's rampant throughout professional sports. It's rampant throughout collegiate sports. It's rampant throughout just the country, this country, other countries. It's just rampant throughout the world. This kind of stuff happens all the time. I apologize. I cursed before. I do apologize. I didn't mean to let that one slip out.
It's okay. You're getting a little worked up. It's all right.
That's
what this stuff will do. This stuff will get you emotional. Yeah.
You know, like, listen, we all want to sit down and watch sports and enjoy our team and talk about like trades that happened and didn't happen and things like that and get worked up about that kind of stuff. But in the reality of it, like, the problem is what happened in Chicago, what's happening with Canada, the national Canadian team or whatever the hell, that this situation that we're talking about right now is these things get covered up and they get pushed back and they get brushed to the side. And I don't want the NHL to be taken down to its knees. I don't want hockey as a sport to be like completely obliterated by somebody that's, taking them down. And who knows if these allegations are true or not. We weren't there. We can't say it. We can't say it either way, right or wrong. But in the end, it's like, the right and wrong, the gray area of all this crap needs to be cleaned up in sports in general, not just hockey, in every sport. Because you can go into any sport. You can go into any sport, and there's something that's like so morally wrong. Then you're like, well, don't worry. Oh, we'll give this quarterback a $230 million contract, even though that 60 plus women have said that he's done something horribly wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude. Don't even get me started on him.
I know.
But
it's just
all in all, if you're not informed about it, please go read up. Like we're saying, we're gonna wait. Until those names turn from John Doe, into actual player names, and then we will have our judgments. Because right now they're all John Does. But there's a real name behind there, and there's a lot of hockey players there. And I know a lot of parents are upset, not only for paying it, but you know what? A lot of these guys are going to be your coach, and that's they're going to be coaching youth leagues. And it's just putting that same mentality back into it over and over again, and that is not good. So I hope Mikey wasn't involved, but if he was, then he needs to pay for what. That's it. Needs to. That's just the way it is. Yeah.
If you want,
we'll see.
Get more, because some of our listeners and viewers don't know the story. Go to Twitter. The journalist that's reporting all this, he is an incredible journalist up in Canada. Rick Westhead, at R Westhead. He's the one. Somehow this guy has been doing like a masterful job as a journalist, finding these stories, and he's even retweeted that since the Kyle Beach story came out, he gets hundreds of messages from survivors, abuse survivors, over and over and over. I mean, he's literally taking down the establishment that's facilitating, practically doing nothing about this. And if you want to see some real journalism and get really informed, go to his articles on tsn.ca. That's real journalism right there, and he is fearless to get to the truth. Yeah. And he's challenged Gary Bettman, Bill Daley, and he's just relentless. And it's people like him. Like, we wouldn't know these stories if he didn't break it. And these are not easy topics to be breaking, especially in front of an international media. So
yeah,
I would like to get him on one day because he's incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy, and there's a lot of players out there. It's a big long list, but don't forget, read the article, get the information. It's 8 players, but not all 8 players are from the World Juniors team. So you have the Cal McCarrs who have already put out statements talking about how they were not involved. They were not even there at that event. They were somewhere else, and they've been cooperating with police and investigations. Remember, the 8 players are from the CHL. Some of them may have been. I think 2 of them were on the juniors team. but the rest of them were just from the CHL. And of course, our player in question was playing up there in the OHL at this time, and he was a member of the juniors team also. So the OHL, if you don't know, is under that CHL umbrella of those, 2 or 3 leagues. It's not good. It's not good. It's just not good.
It's not something that you want associated with your team at all, period.
No. Nope. You do not. But
I hate to end on such a sour note, but I mean, that's the reality of where we are in the NHL. Like, all these great things are going on, yeah, but at the same time, that needs to be addressed 100%.
It really does, and it's not something that I want to talk about, but I'm glad we did, because obviously there were some fans who weren't aware of it, and I'm glad that we were able to inform them about the situation that was going on, because everyone should read up on this, because it is very serious stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shifting gears into getting towards, I know we're getting towards the end of the show here, but I will say that this team as it sits right now, if the Devils don't make any more moves, and this is the team that we're going to go into the season with, you have to think that they're going to probably bring in 1 or 2 guys in for a camp tryout. There's a couple names out there that haven't been signed yet. There's a couple names that haven't been traded for, that are speculated to be traded for, like JT Miller. I don't suspect that this team is done. I don't think that Fitzgerald is done, and that's very clear, because he was going hard and heavy after Matthew Tkachuk. So, there's a lot of, like we said before earlier in the podcast, there's a lot of GMs that have been sitting back and just kind of like waiting for certain things to unfold, or whatever the case may be. But there's also a lot of teams that are going to be really crushed up against that cap going into the season. And a team like the Devils, who still have 9 and change left over in the cap space, they're in position to make a move. But remember this last piece. The one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to mortgage your future. You do not want to hamstring yourself for the next couple of years. Having flexibility in the cap. I don't think the Devils ever needed to have $23 million in cap space, but having, $5 million in cap space, $7 million in cap space, somewhere around that area. After they sign Jesper Bratt, they might have only about $4 million left in cap space. Leaving that cushion is not a bad thing, because that gives you flexibility to make a move. Do not want to put yourself against the wall to screw yourself over in the long run. But either way, I have a good feeling. Like, I don't think he's done yet. I wouldn't be shocked.
I don't think he's done yet.
I hope he's not. To see Johnson move or either Johnson move or Tatar move. I wouldn't be shocked to see either of those 2 guys move, just to clear some space, but they're also coming off the books next year, so who cares?
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say, exactly. They're coming off the books next year, so it may not be something. Maybe they move them at the trade deadline when people are looking for, maybe some veteran wingers or something like that as well. We'll see, but I think Fitzy is still out there sniffing around, seeing what he can, seeing when he can muster up to see if he can improve this team. But no one out there is a Johnny Gaudreau right now, and no one out there is a Matthew Tkachuk right now. So don't overpay, and don't sign some long-term deal that we're going to regret in a year or two, So be careful. But I think he's still out there seeing where he can maybe. Don't forget about Toronto up there too. They're very cap strapped. You got some guys over there that might be on the move. Nylander's name has come up many times and a lot of rumors here and there.
Once again, though, don't overpay for it. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Don't. I think Fitzy's been playing it smart. I think he's been offering what is. Would somebody hit a home run, Sam? Is that what you're saying, or are you saying wrap it up?
No, wrap it up. Because I read your text, you said that
we'll wrap. Yeah, I know, but then we get into a good conversation.
Talking like old hens out over there, Just wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it. All right, fine. You know what, then, Mr. Wrap It Up. Put on the music. I'll give you my final thought.
No, why don't you give your final thought? I'll put on the music whenever I feel like it.
Well, Mr. Samuel Wu. Yeah, I've had your back. I've had your back on Twitter and other places. So you better,
you have.
Better watch.
No.
You don't want to piss off your own
Hold
ally.
on, I'll give you a little music, Beer Baron.
Okay, good.
All right. No, what are your final thoughts?
Okay, so, all right, my final thoughts. I really think that the team. Listen, if they make one more move, they make one more move. But if they don't, let's go into camp on a very positive note that they put some pieces together that are going to help the team as it is. I just want to see a healthy Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier get through an entire season. I feel like Vanacek is going to be pushing for that number one spot. He got a decent deal from Fitzgerald. The PA
we need to talk about that.
Yeah, the PA announcer and the play-by-play are going to be announced next week, I believe. But I will say this to the former PA announcer that they had last year, and I apologize that I'm not saying your name right now because it escapes me off the top of my head. Thank you, Joe Tolentino. Joe Tolentino, this is actually my final thought for the podcast right now. Joe Tolentino, you did a great job. I don't care what anybody says. I know there's a lot of people that gave you crap. There's been rumors that a lot of fans bullied him basically into quitting the position. If that's true or not, there's a lot of people that didn't like him, didn't agree with him, didn't like the way he called any of the goals, didn't like anything about him. You did a hell of a job. You went out there and you did something that 98% of us would not be able to do. You were able to pronounce names that I know I would never be able to do. You did an awesome job, and you should be proud of the year that you served as the Devils PA announcer for that 1 year. Take that experience, go on and do something bigger and better, and you're going to have a great life and have a good time. Don't worry about what all the haters say because haters are going to hate. You got to do something that they never, ever will have a chance to do.
Well said. Scotty.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I pontificate and it goes well. I don't know. I didn't mean to set you up like that.
I'm excited to have a new PA announcer. I'm excited to have a new play-by-play guy, or woman. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
That's something that I think everyone is forgetting about. Maybe there is a woman who is doing the PA announcing or the play-by-play next year.
Play-by-play.
But I'm excited for some new blood on there as well. I'm going to miss Kanji, miss Doc, and whoever's coming in. You got some big shoes to fill over there. Well, they're little shoes, Doc and Kanji, but they're big shoes in the metaphorical sense. They really made Devils games sound special with their calls and the way they gave the game excitement. The way they were able to just get Devils fans on the edge of their seats. And I think both of those guys, Kanji and Doc, obviously, Gary Thorne as well. I mean, we've had a really good run with play-by-play. So whoever's coming, just remember, be on your A game. Because the previous people who were sitting in that chair did a hell of a job for a number of years. We're going to miss Kanji a lot, but I look forward to, the new voice on there whenever it is announced. And I think they're going to do an amazing job.
Yeah.
I hope we never lose Andreas Johnson, also known as Andre Johnson, because that's the only call I know how to make are those calls.
Marino to Johnson. Oh my God.
Johnson in motion. The puck is snapped. That kind of thing. Great conversation tonight, guys. It was a variety of topics, but and even a serious topic as well. But that's why we're here. We're just three Devils fans at a bar talking Devils hockey, just BSing and all that. And I just love reading all the comments on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, even Twitter, the interaction, the engagement, even during the week, even when I do the Woo Report. Thank you. I was telling my wife today, that, wow, it's almost been a year since, the Devils were doing the PA announcing thing. It started in the beginning of August. And I thought to myself, wow, what have I accomplished in a year since, that whole thing that the Devils were doing? It's like, wow, we've got a top 25 podcast that I look forward to almost every day.
Wow.
Top 25. And the reason why we're in top 25 is not because we're great podcasters. It's you, the fans.
No.
Well, except for Beer Baron. I mean, he is
I am
the
eloquent.
podcast. Yeah.
I am eloquent.
Yeah. So can't thank you enough. I mean it because, you guys, it's not easy to do this all the time. We've got lives too, but you guys make it easier because we always have a good conversation with you here on the podcast, and you're kind of our online extension till we meet again at Todd's Lounge 973 or wherever we are. That's going to be cool. We got a lot of great things coming up for our 5th year anniversary where we unveil our logo, putting the pressure on a certain somebody. And, is it ready yet?
The logo?
Otherwise, I'm just going to type it in Word.
Oh, boy.
And then just cut and paste it. It just says 5.
Yeah.
And the Devils logo. If that certain somebody doesn't get it ready in time.
I hear you.
Change the S to a 5 at the end of Devils. Change the S to a 5. Either that or do like a Fantastic Four, but like just make it a big 5 instead,
Well, thank you. I'm just looking for the graphic right now. It's about to close out the podcast. Thank you very much. Going to drop the podcast at midnight for your morning and afternoon commute.
Woohoo!
Till next time, let's go Devils.